Hi there, this is Rosie and you have come to Nonna Stitching Lounge. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 10 non-yarny things you don't know about me. So I don't know if you know that in the crochet community, there a lot of the podcasters have early in January and February been talking about the 10 non-yarny things about them so that the viewers can kind of get to know them a little bit better and not just talk about crochet and yarn and knitting and those kind of things. So I thought this is my 10th or 11th episode. I figured that maybe I would do one of these videos and you could, learn a little bit more about me. So there you go. Okay, so the first thing, and I may have talked about this in one of my first videos, is that I am Canadian. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, and I am first generation Canadian. My parents are Italian immigrants. They came to Canada in the early 50s. They were married. So my brothers and I were all born here in Canada, but my grandmother also came here shortly thereafter with my aunts and uncles, and she lived with us. So my grandmother basically never spoke English. She never worked outside the home. She essentially, my Nonna, raised us because my mother was a hairdresser. She was outside the home. My dad worked various jobs, painting, construction, on the railways, and all sorts of things. And so my grandmother, my Nonna, raised us, and she's the one that taught me to crochet and knit. Because she did live with us, I spoke Italian. My parents are from southern Italy, from Calabria. And so I speak the dialect very well, but I also took Italian in school, and my mom was a hairdresser. I worked with her at the salon all through high school and most of my university days, and she had non-speaking English people as well, Italian people that came to her salon, and so I learned to speak a little bit better, and been to Italy, and I got along pretty well. And unlike the Italians in the States, because the Italian immigrants in the United States came a lot sooner than the Italian immigrants in Canada. In fact, my uncles, who ended up in Connecticut and Massachusetts, they immigrated, I think, in the early 1900s, whereas my dad came in 1952, my mother in 1953. So, we tend to still be closer to our Italian heritage. And when we make tomato sauce, it is sauce, not gravy. And I'm not sure if that's a Brooklyn thing or a New Jersey thing, but we call it sauce. The other funny thing about the Italian language in Toronto or in Canada for that matter, is that when my parents came from Italy in the 50s, there's some words that didn't exist in Italy. So they made them up. And so we call that language Italiese. Just by putting a vowel at the end of a word, they thought that it sounded Italian. So when I did go to Italy, my vocabulary wasn't that great because I had a lot of English words that were mixed up. Like, for instance, the backyard. There is no real backyard in Italy. There are giardinos, gardens. So we would say a bacchiarda. So that's very Southern Italian, very colorblind. But anyway, so so that's my Italian heritage, and thus my channel named Nonna. So the second non-yarny thing was that I have three brothers, or I had three brothers. I grew up the princess in my family, the only girl, My two older brothers were 16 months apart, and then 7 years I was born, and then 7 years my younger brother was born. Unfortunately, my second oldest brother, Anthony, passed away in 2012 of a severe heart attack. And so we lost him at 50 years old, unfortunately. So I have two living brothers, not to outdo myself, I then had three sons. So I have a son who's 30, another one 27, and my youngest son is 24, and he still lives with us. And when I grew up, I had very close to all my cousins, and there was 10 boy cousins. I was the only girl in all of the cousins. So I learned to play poker really, really well. So then when they realized that I could beat them, they wouldn't let me play anymore. But anyway, such is life. Just don't be too good at stuff, right? Yeah, so I grew up the princess, and then I became the queen with three sons. That's, yeah, anyway. The other, the third Yarny thing, or non-Yarny thing that you don't know about me is, well, I have two stepchildren as well. So I have three sons, and then I have a stepson who's 31 and a stepdaughter who's 28. My husband, aka Nonna, Nonna Sal, we've been married almost 8 years, and we have three grandchildren. So our oldest son has 2, 4.5, and 1 year old, and then my son has a 4-month-old. So that's fun. The fourth non-Yarny thing is that I am a city girl. So I am obviously a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, but I am a city girl. I grew up in Toronto. I love my city. I went to university in Toronto. I did live outside of the city for about 25 years, but still worked in Toronto all that time. So I was commuting on the train for 25 years. We had, when Nonna and I got married, we bought a big house in the town outside of Toronto so that all the kids would feel comfortable and would want to live with us. And so we had a pool and a hot tub and a billiard room and all those things. Inadvertently, however, then they decided that they weren't leaving. They were showing up with their girlfriends, and we had kids coming and going in their 20s. So we decided that we were going to buy a condo and we were going to sell our house. So one spring, about 4 years ago, we told the kids that we were going to be selling the house and buying a condo. And of course they're like, no, you're not. Of course you're not. No way. You're not going to leave this house. Anyway, we ended up selling it. We ended up keeping the only things we kept, because we didn't know what size condo we were going to end up getting, was our TV, our leather couches, our living room couches, and our bedroom. And then everything else, we told the kids that they could, they were up for dibs. So they could go and decide, because we had furniture in the basement, furniture in the living room, furniture, like we had 3 queen-size beds or 4 queen-size beds. Crazy, crazy. So anyway, we downsized, the kids all took something, and only my youngest, who's still in university, was going to university in Toronto, stayed with us. So we have a 2-bedroom condo just outside of downtown, and I will post some videos if you want to see them at the end of the view from our condo. We're on the 26th floor. So I'll put some videos at the end if you want to watch them. If not, just go through them. Okay. So yeah, we moved, and everybody had to find a place to live. I know it sounds kind of mean. We're not trying to be mean. The thing is, here in Toronto, it's very expensive to live, but sometimes you just need to give them a little bit of a push to get out into the world. Anyway, yes, so I'm a city girl, and the fifth non-Yarny thing is that I've worked at the same job for 33.5 years. So I started work. I'm a government worker that I started in 1985, straight out of university. So I was 23 years old, and I could actually retire at any time. But I mean, I didn't stay in the same role, obviously. Over 33 years, I moved around and I did various things. Yeah, it's been a long, I grew up essentially where I work because from 23 years old to now I'm 56. That is a long time. And 1985 was a wonderful year, wasn't it? Great music. You know, we had George Michael, we had Madonna, we had the real Michael Jackson. Anyway, I love music. That's, I think, Non-Yarny number 8 or something. But yeah, 1985. Probably some of you weren't even born then. But let's see. The 6th Non-Yarny thing for me is that I've had 2 hip replacements. So I inherited arthritis from my parents, and my left hip started acting up about 6-7 years ago, or maybe longer, but I ended up having the left hip replaced in 2013, and here I thought I was doing okay, and then I had my right hip replaced in November of 2018. So I am slowly becoming the bionic woman. I figured that eventually I'm going to run out of joints to replace. So yeah, except maybe a lobotomy one day, but we'll wait for that. Hopefully that won't be for about another 50, 60 years. So the 7th Non-Yarny thing is that I have a tattoo. So I have a tattoo in my middle back. I am a Libra. My birthday's in October, and I love the scales, and so I have a tattoo of the scales on my back, and not too many people get to see it, but funny enough, when we had the pool at the other house, my mother, I told her I had a tattoo, but when she saw it, of course, it was, "What is that? Why do you have that on your back?" Anyway, I had to hear that for a long time. So, and Nonna has quite a few tattoos, actually, too. Maybe one day we'll have him on and he will show you his tattoos. So the 8th Non-Yarny thing about me is I love to travel. So Nonna and I, we love to travel. We've been to all sorts of different places in the world. Again, we love to do city traveling. We've been to New York City, which is one of my all-time favorite cities. I would live there in a second. We've gone to Rome and Paris twice, London. Mary, we've never come to Ireland yet, but we will. So I would say my top travel cities are Rome. I just absolutely love Rome. Just every corner, everywhere you go, there's a history. It's just incredible. And the tour of the Vatican Museum is to die for. It really is something to behold. I mean, we were only there one morning, but we should have spent probably 2 days just in the Vatican. Just absolutely gorgeous. We've been on a European cruise. We went to Greece, Athens, we went to Turkey, and we went to Crete, and went back to Rome, Sicily, Rome. That was our cruise. So then we've done Paris. We went to Barcelona last year. We rented a house in Mallorca with a bunch of friends in Spain. So that is my dream, is to retire and to be able to travel and spend a month in any city I want. So yeah, that would be fabulous, of course. I just have to win the lottery. Yeah, no lottery here, unfortunately. Interesting, of course, we've met a lot of Americans. We've gone down to the States. I have cousins in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Sal has really close cousins in Chicago. And we travel down to the Caribbean. We've been to Jamaica and Caribbean cruises. And so, you know, whenever we do meet American friends, you know, we introduce ourselves. We're Sal and Rosie. We don't tell them where we're from. People will say, well, so where are you guys from? And so we always say, you know, where do you think Sal and Rosie would be from? And of course, I say with a little bit more like I'm from Brooklyn, right? Anyway, I know it wasn't very good. I should probably not do the Brooklyn accent. But so yeah, we get, oh, you're from Brooklyn, Bensonhurst. No, you're from Jersey. You're from the Bronx. Anyway, so we get a lot of that. South Philly. My husband has a very deep voice, Nonna, and they always think that he's from South Philly. But, you know, when we tell them no, that Sal and Rosie are actually from Toronto, there's a lot of surprise there. In fact, we met our best friends down in the States, in the Caribbean, and they're from New Jersey. And my friend Joe always says, Rosie, you're like every girl I ever grew up with in New Jersey. So, yeah, so that's kind of fun. So, yes, we love to travel, and maybe I'll start doing a travel blog one day. I wish. The ninth non-Yarny thing you might not know about me is I love music. And I am probably one of the biggest Billy Joel fans that ever lived. Recently, of course, I love Ed Sheeran. I love all music. I love all top 40. I love old school dance music. I'm an old school girl. I was raised in the 80s, you know, still love Madonna and all those dance songs and stuff. And I actually have DJ'd at some of our friends' parties. So I, you know, specialize in top 40 and old school music. But, yeah, Billy Joel is, I know, I went to see him live at Maple Leaf Gardens here in Toronto in 1979. I was 16 years old. And I fell in love. I knew his Stranger LP, his 52nd Street. I knew them frontwards, backwards, every word to every song. And in fact, Sal and I, Nonna and I, and our friends Joe and Gail, we went to see Billy Joel at Madison Square Gardens in 2015, because I wanted to go see him on his own turf in Madison Square Gardens. I'd love to do it again before he stops residency at Madison Square Gardens, but we'll see if that happens. For you British people, I love Ed Sheeran. We saw Ed Sheeran here in Toronto at the Rogers Centre last August, and he was amazing. A one-man band, and he was just amazing. What a fabulous, fabulous kid, and so talented. But again, I love all music. I just, yeah, I download music. I have all kinds of music. And then, of course, I think the 10th non-Yarny thing about me is that I love my Toronto Maple Leafs. I am a sports fan. Over here. No, over here. Go Leafs, go. Go Leafs, go. Playoffs will start. Playoffs are starting next week. The Leafs will be playing Boston in the first round of the playoffs. So for those of you in New England, we're going to beat your ass. And maybe not. But, yeah, I'm a real hockey buff. And I love hockey. I had no choice, of course, living with 3 brothers, uncles, and then my children. My children played hockey when they were little, but they played house league. They didn't get into real competitive hockey. Nonno's son, Michael, he played competitive hockey, and he was quite good. So I'm sure that little baby Michael is going to be a hockey player for sure. And then we have lots of sports teams in Toronto. We have the Toronto Raptors, which is our basketball team, and one of the most famous Raptor fans, of course, is Drake, who lives in Toronto, is from Toronto. And then there's also the Toronto Blue Jays, who we do go see once in a while. And they had a good run a couple of years ago and now are rebuilding their team. But yes, go Leafs, go. So those, I believe, are the top 10 non-yarny things about me. Hope you liked this video. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. And like and subscribe. So thanks for watching, and ciao for now. So we are going out from my bedroom onto the balcony, and the balcony faces southwest. So here we have Lake Ontario, southwest, and you can see we are pretty far up. We have a beautiful view of the lake, and way over there is Niagara Falls, probably over here somewhere, across Lake Ontario. And we have condos everywhere, and probably going to be building more condos. And here is the Gardiner Expressway, which is one of our major highways, and this is our balcony that stretches the length of our condo. And I'll take you, so here's where, well, you can't see it, anyway. Excuse the mess. Nobody sees it up here. So here's a view. There's Mississauga. This is facing northwest and north. And that's our living room in there. You can't see it because of the glare. There's a train station way over there. I don't know if you can actually see that. And so there, that's one of our views. So here's our spare room, which my son currently lives in. I won't even show you because it's a disaster. But we have a terrace outside of our spare room. Here's all our terrace furniture that we haven't put out yet. But here the highway continues, and you don't hear the noise from inside, and you do actually get used to the noise. But we put our terrace furniture here at the end of our terrace because we have a gorgeous view of the lake and of the city. So you can see in the horizon, CN Tower. There's an airport not that far from there, and the city view. So it's pretty spectacular at night when it's all lit up. And we've got condos over here. This is the East Toronto. We've got that central Midtown Toronto where all those condos are. And then we have downtown Toronto over there. And that's our view. It's a pretty great day, unfortunately. But then we have a little area park that we can go to